A very good afternoon to all of you joined us today, and as you can see from the writing on the screen, we shall be looking at answering comprehension tests, and this is for all you grade 9 English first additional language students out there, and you are listening to the Matteo Grammar Nazi. That's me. Right, so what is a comprehension test? Well, your answer to that is it's used to assess understanding. The word comprehension and understanding are interchangeable. They are complete synonyms. So always remember it's going for understanding. And of course, the most common type is when they give you a written passage and ask you to answer questions on that. Now, because the focus is on understanding, comprehension tests don't contain language questions, or at least they shouldn't contain language questions. But sometimes, well, it depends on what your teacher gives you to do. Then you've also got your visual texts, and here are some of them. Obviously, advertisement, cartoon, comic strip, graph, chart. All of these things are perfectly valid when it comes to setting comprehension tasks. Then, here is exactly how to answer a comprehension test. Rule number one, read the instructions. Most of you never do. We know that. We who mark the papers, we know that the instructions are never read, but it's a very bad mistake. Never take anything for granted. Just now the instructions have changed and then you're in trouble. Okay? Then the first thing you do, you read through the text to get an idea of what it's about. All right? Then read the questions and then read the text again. And this time you can focus on the content directly related to the questions. Now you can start answering. Okay, once you have followed that procedure, you have put yourself in a very good position to get good marks for the test. Now, this is a bad mistake to make. I know some people try this, it doesn't work. Don't just go straight to the questions and then play spot the answers. It'll work for lower order questions, without a doubt, but it doesn't work for middle or higher order questions, the more difficult ones for which you're going to get much higher marks. So please don't do that. It's a mistake. Right? And this also, study the questions. Often I have marked comprehension tests where it was very clear that the candidate had read through the text. The knowledge was there, but the candidate then proceeded to misunderstand exactly what the questions required. So please make sure that you check to see what the answer is that the questions require. Okay, then also, when you're asked to quote, please get the length correct. If it says one word, provide one word. If it says 3 consecutive words, provide 3 consecutive words. Not 2, not 4, it must be 3. Otherwise, automatically the answer is wrong. If it asks for a sentence, write out the full sentence. The whole thing is you must get the length correct for a quote, otherwise it's not correct. Now, use quotation marks when quoting. Are you going to lose marks if you do not use quotation marks? I am asked this question frequently. And the answer to that is no, you will not lose marks. We do not penalize if the quotation marks have been omitted. However, the quotation marks are there to make it more clear that you are in fact quoting. You use them to indicate that you're quoting. And it just makes it so much easier for the marker when quotation marks are used. And by the way, please use the double ones when you're writing by hand. The single ones are fine when you're typing or using a word processor on a computer or something like that. But the double ones stand out far more clearly when you are writing using your handwriting. Now, agree, disagree, yes, no. this or that, where you're given a choice of answers and then asked to justify your selection. Remember, there are no marks given for agree or I disagree or something like that. The marks are only for the justification, and no justification, no marks. And by the way, the justification must correctly justify whether you agree or disagree. Okay, so watch out for that. Then, never use your own knowledge when answering a comprehension test. The comprehension test is there to ascertain whether you understand the written text, not if you are an expert on a particular subject. The classic example here is cell phones. I guarantee that each one of you watching this today has more knowledge on cell phones than I do. And if I were to set a comprehension on cell phones, for example, the latest phone has got a 50 megapixel camera. And you would say, but no, there's a phone out with a 100 megapixel camera now. This is not correct. Doesn't matter. You've got to answer according to what's in the text. Now, try not to copy answers directly from the text. Obviously, for a quote, you are going to copy directly from the text. But as a general rule, if you copy directly, you will lose at least 1 mark for the question. If you do have to copy, well, then, sorry, go ahead and do it when you have no choice. Because very often you won't know what the synonyms are for the various words and stuff like that. But it is by far the best to do everything in your own choice of words. And finally, leave a line open between your answers, please. Do you know how difficult it is to mark a comprehension test where you can't really make out where one answer stops and where the next one begins? And this is in fact an instruction put onto every exam paper. This is how we know people don't read the instructions. So please, not for your sake, but for the sake of the marker, leave a line open. You've got plenty of paper. If you fill up one sheet of paper, you will get given another. So make sure that you comply with these instructions. Right, there we have it, how to answer comprehension tests. And finally, there is a lovely little task for you to do. It's a short little multiple choice test, and I think you're going to have great fun doing it. So I encourage everybody watching today, give it a try, please.